All right, let's jump right in. Welcome to this explainer, where we are going to climb the ultimate ladder of cosmic weirdness. Today, we're demystifying the mind-boggling concept of the multiverse. It's one of those ideas that has totally graduated from the fringes of sci-fi straight into the mainstream of theoretical physics. So get comfortable because we are about to severely stretch the limits of your imagination.
Imagine for a second that literally everything you know, your entire life, the Earth, the Milky Way, our vast, seemingly endless cosmos, what if all of that is just a tiny microscopic fraction of a much larger, infinite reality? For the longest time, humanity thought we were the center of a single, solitary universe. But modern theoretical physics is strongly pointing to a much grander stage. It suggests our reality might just be a single grain of sand on an endless cosmic beach. So, before we get completely lost in the theoretical weeds, let's just ground ourselves with a basic definition. A multiverse is essentially a collection of diverse, separate, and potentially infinite parallel universes. And this isn't just some fun what-if thought experiment, right? It's a serious statistical probability that emerges from the very equations we use to explain our own existence. We're talking about a framework where reality is exponentially larger than anything we could ever physically observe. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with what the multiverse actually is, then we'll climb through level 1's patchwork universes, level 2's bubble universes, level 3's quantum worlds, and level 4's mathematical universe, before finally wrapping up with brain universes. It's an escalating journey, starting somewhat close to home and zooming out into entirely different dimensions. Okay, section 1. What is the multiverse? Let's figure out where this wild idea actually comes from. You know, the idea of parallel realities doesn't just come out of nowhere. It emerges straight out of the math of quantum mechanics and cosmic inflation. When cosmologists run the numbers on how the Big Bang happened or how subatomic particles behave, those equations often yield results that literally refuse to be confined to just one universe. The math practically demands that other realities exist just to make the equations balance. We aren't inventing these other universes. The physics we already trust is forcefully pointing them out to us. Moving on to Section 2, Level 1, Patchwork. This first rung of the ladder is actually the easiest to wrap your head around because it uses the exact same physical rules as our own world. Think about it like this. We live in an observable universe, which is this finite bubble of space about 93 billion light years across. That's just the distance light has had time to travel since the Big Bang. But space itself is widely believed to be infinite, just going on forever past that boundary. But here's the catch. There are only so many ways you can arrange matter and energy in a specific volume before you literally run out of unique combinations. So if space goes on forever, but particle arrangements are finite, eventually those exact arrangements absolutely have to repeat. The crucial mechanism here is infinity. Because of that endless scale, simple statistics dictate that an exact copy of you is out there right now. No, really. Somewhere impossibly far away, there's another Earth and another you, living a life completely identical to yours down to the atomic level. But because all possible combinations have to exist in an infinite space, there are also versions of reality where you wore a different shirt today, or you picked a vastly different career path 10 years ago. It's literally a patchwork quilt of every possible iteration of history. All right, Section 3, Level 2, Bubble Universes. Let's zoom out even further and start breaking the rules. To really get Level 2, we gotta talk about cosmic inflation. The theory goes that right after the Big Bang, space expanded at an insane, exponential rate. But some models suggest this inflation never actually stopped everywhere, that it's an eternal process. Picture eternal inflation like a giant pot of rapidly boiling water on the stove. The space between the bubbles is always expanding, and endless separate bubbles are constantly popping into existence. Every single one of those bubbles represents its own completely isolated universe. And our entire infinite level 1 universe, it's completely trapped inside just one of those bubbles. And here is what's so crazy about this idea. Unlike level 1, these level 2 bubble universes can be totally alien. Because they separated during different inflationary phases, they can have entirely different fundamental physical laws. Maybe gravity is completely absent. Maybe the speed of light is super sluggish. The elementary particles could be totally unrecognizable. Or space-time itself could have, 7 spatial dimensions instead of 3. It is a realm of absolute physical diversity. Next up, Section 4, Level 3, Quantum Worlds. We're jumping from the unimaginably massive scale of the cosmos all the way down to the unimaginably tiny scale of quantum mechanics. This level comes from Hugh Everett's famous many worlds interpretation. In the quantum world, particles exist in multiple states at once until they're observed. Everett proposed that instead of the universe just picking one outcome, it actually splits to accommodate all of them. Imagine flipping a coin. It doesn't land on heads or tails. The universe instantly branches. In one reality, you see heads, but in a newly formed, completely parallel reality, you see tails. Every single quantum event, every single millisecond, branches reality into an endless, ever-growing tree of paths. Moving to Section 5, Level 4, the mathematical universe. Prepare for the ultimate abstraction, because we are stepping completely outside standard physics. This is the ultimate brainbender. The hypothesis here isn't just that math describes the universe, it's that the universe literally is math. The idea is that all possible mathematical structures exist physically as real universes. They function like the irrefutable underlying code of reality. If you can write a mathematically consistent equation, no matter how bizarre or devoid of our concepts of time and space, that structure physically exists as a universe somewhere in Level 4. It's the absolute logical limit of existence. Finally, Section 6, Brain Universes. Just when you thought Level 4 was the absolute limit, string theory pulls the rug right out from under us. This concept comes from M-theory. It proposes that our universe is essentially a three-dimensional membrane, or a brain, floating inside a much larger, higher-dimensional space called the bulk, which could have up to 11 dimensions. Think of it like a single slice of bread floating in a massive loaf, existing completely side by side with other invisible universe slices. We can't see or touch them because we are permanently trapped on our own flat 3D surface. Which leads us to a pretty terrifying question. What happens if these giant floating membranes actually bump into each other? Well, cosmologists theorize that if our universe collided with a parallel brain, that unimaginable energy transfer could be the exact spark that triggered the Big Bang itself. And what's incredibly exciting is that scientists believe these cosmic collisions might have left hidden traces, things like primordial gravitational waves that we might actually be able to detect one day. Okay, let's take a breath and quickly summarize this crazy ladder we just climbed. We've got the repeating patchwork quilt of Level 1, where the physical rules are the exact same, then the boiling water of Level 2, bubbles, where the laws of physics are completely different. We have the branching tree of Level 3, quantum worlds splitting off into different histories. Then we zoom out to the pure code of the Level 4 mathematical universe. And finally, those floating 11-dimensional brain membranes. It really puts the absolute sheer scale of reality into perspective, doesn't it? And that brings us to a deeply profound thought to end on. If every possible version of your life exists out there, across an infinite number of universes, do the choices you make today actually matter? Well, it leaves us with a really beautiful paradox. In an absolute infinity of realities, it is only the choices you make right here in this specific, unique universe that define who you truly are in this exact moment. So make those choices count. Thanks for joining me on this cosmic journey for today's explainer, and keep questioning the universe around you.